the show with the People Chronicles with the Council on Chemical Abuse. Our show title is Your Bridge to Addiction Resources, and I am just one of your hosts. My name is Jennifer Kaucher, and I am a prevention specialist with the Council on Chemical Abuse.
Hi, I'm Yvonne Stroman. I'm the Community Program Specialist at the Council on Chemical Abuse, and we welcome you to our show, Your Bridge to Addiction Resources. And then to my left is...
George Vogel, the Executive Director for the Council on Chemical Abuse, otherwise known as COCA.
And so we're just going to kind of enlighten for you what you can expect to hear from us over these podcast series. We really welcome you and thank you for allowing us to come to your place of living, your place of work. And we just are excited to be with you. I'm going to ask George if he would just kind of share with us a little bit of history about the Council on Chemical Abuse, who we are, and what is our work.
That's a good question. The history, let me talk a little bit about that. Ironically, the history started back in 1972 with the band shell that is still in City Park. And it was started by a group of citizens who were trying to look at and address the abuse and use of methamphetamine that was going around with the various concerts that were taking place at the time. And right around that same time, the state and the federal government stepped in and said that there's money available at both levels, and in order for us to give it to Berks County to work with primarily the treatment that they were looking at that time, we need to have some organization or some level of county government being responsible for this. The county commissioners at that time decided that they would like to take an option that was available to them, that they create a private nonprofit organization that would be, after that, would be termed and called the Single County Authority, which means that you are responsible for the planning, implementation, funding, and evaluation of publicly supported drug and alcohol services. So out of a small group of people, and starting here in the city, that as of 1972 or thereabouts, the Council on Chemical Abuse was born as the single county authority for Berks County to handle public monies that come into this county for the prevention, the intervention, and treatment of addiction.
So since you've been executive director, how have you seen the council grow? Because I've been with the council for 2 years, and I've seen our prevention staff grow. As part of that staff, we have so many requests to be in classrooms educating. So what are some other areas where you've seen us grow since you've been?
Well, we've grown in many areas. The reason you see the prevention is because it's around you every day, so you can count the number of staff and so forth, and you realize that we're growing in a very positive direction. The first director of the Council on Chemical Abuse, I was the second.
Okay.
And I didn't want somebody to be the third, so I stuck around for all that time. But the first director started with a staff of 3. It was himself, a secretary, and an accounting position. And at that point, and I think this is important to know, that we do direct services primarily in the area of prevention, but for other services such as detox, outpatient treatment, inpatient treatment, recovery centers, we contract for that.
Yeah, and we'll be talking about
so, yes. And so the vast majority of the services that we provide to the county is through vis-a-vis a contract for services. We contract with the Reading Hospital, with Easy Does It, with Berks Counseling Center, Pennsylvania Counseling Services, New Directions, which is a medication-assisted treatment program. And we've grown from probably a budget, if I can remember correctly, of maybe 800,000, which seems like a lot until you start looking at the number of people trying to access treatment and are suffering for this disease, to a budget of probably close to about $9 million. And also, that what has increased the number of people able to access treatment. That's the most important piece of it. And so we've grown a lot, both in terms of our dollar amount and contracted services, as well as that service that we do through the council, and the primary service that we provide through the council, in addition to administering all of this money, is the offering of prevention services to our local schools.
Yeah, and a staff of 3 to now, there's like 20, almost 25 of
20,
us, I think.
right?
And then
20.
we have independent contractors too.
Right.
Yes.
And the other thing too, George, that I think is worth mentioning is that, those dollars are specifically for Berks County residents.
Yes.
Do you want to say more about that? That in terms of, we are the manager of those dollars, those public dollars, but they are specifically for Berks County residents.
They are. In fact, one of the things that we require, that if prior to a person being brought into treatment as they're going through the admission process, we ask that question: are you or are you not a resident of this county? And if they say yes, we would ask them to show us at least rent receipts for the past 90 days. And the reason for that, and that came about as a result of our county commissioners also putting a lot of money into this. And they're saying, if this money is coming out of the taxpayers from Berks County, then we want to reinvest it into those Berks County residents. So we have a tremendous treatment system here. And so the last thing we want, not that we want to turn our back to addiction, but somebody from another county coming here using money that was initially meant for the residents of this county to be using that money. So we have fences around our money in a sense that you have certain qualifications. If you have, for treatment, if you have insurance, you're not eligible for our funding. If you're on welfare, Department of Public Welfare, Department of Human Services now, but if you're on medical assistance, you're not eligible. Obviously, if you are capable of paying for your own treatment stay, you're not eligible. So we work with that other population that has no insurance, is not on medical assistance because they're working, maybe at a job that doesn't provide insurance coverage, and they're stuck with somebody that in a sense that they never asked for, but the son or daughter, the husband or wife or whatever may be suffering from addiction.
So we are talking about an array of services that is funneled through the Council on Chemical Abuse, from prevention to intervention to treatment to recovery services. And so one of the things that we can actually kind of give folks a clue in terms of what we'll be talking about not only includes the services, which are plentiful, but also they'll be able to meet some of the staff, some of the folks that we have the pleasure of working with each and every day. Management staff, even board members will also be coming to stop in to say hello. And then I think it's important because we're sitting around the table talking about what are the services that we provide and how can we let the public know that folks are actually living and breathing and saying, yes, I receive services. And so we'll ask folks if they would feel confident enough, if they would desire to come in and kind of share their story.
Absolutely.
I can tell you, and I think I've shared this with you before, that TASC is our licensed go-to center for assessment and determination of treatment. Those public dollars are available, but I was a recipient of that 25 years ago, and so to be able to have folks come back and share about that, about the experience, about the hope as relates to those public dollars being well spent, we'll be able to talk about that and highlight that through our series.
That's a good point, because I mean, if you're listening to this podcast and you're wondering, where do I go for help? I know somebody. You would not come to the council. You would actually go to the Treatment Access and Services Center, which is on North 6th Street. They're the front door to our system. So if you want to go for an evaluation, or you want somebody else to go for an evaluation, that's the door that they would knock on. That's the entrance to our system of services.
So with that said, we invite you to join us back again soon to talk more about the Council on Chemical Abuse, your bridge to addiction resources. In the meantime, thank you, be well, God bless.
Check back every week for a new story with your bridge to addiction resources. You can call 610-376-8669 or visit online at COCAberks.org. COCABERKS.org. Be sure to like and follow the Council on Chemical Abuse on Facebook and Twitter.